Now, before we can start talking about subqueries, I just want to remind you about the three principal tables that we have developed from the previous sessions. Now, the idea is that this is a company which is organized into departments, which has employees, and employees are able to do transactions. There could be an expense account, or it could be a savings account, perhaps. So we have three distinct tables because tables describe a particular object. So the first object we're describing is the department, with the department name, who's in charge of the department, lots of other things maybe about the department. We then have a table employee, which talks about individual employees. We have a unique employee number, we have employee names, we have a government ID, a date of birth, and a department. And the table department is linked to the table employee through this department field, this department column. Then we have the transactions, either the expense accounts or the savings account. And what we have in table transaction, we have the amount, i.e. the monetary amount. We have the date that the transaction happened, which is either 2014 or 2015, the year. There's also obviously a month and a day as well. And we have the employee number. And the table transaction is linked to the table employee through use of the table number. Now note that there aren't any constraints on this version of the database between the employee number in table employee and the employee number in table transaction. So there will be some employee numbers in table transaction which do not occur in table employee, and vice versa. Now, a well-regulated database won't actually have this, but I'm deliberately slightly breaking it so you can see what happens to some of these subqueries we're going to do. So we did talk about in session 3 about putting constraints on these. So let's just remind ourselves about the contents of these tables. First of all, we have the table department. Very simple table, only 5 particular rows. We have table employee. Now this is 1005 rows, and you see the information that we've got here, and there's the department which links into the table department, as you can see here through this column here. And then we have table transaction, which records the employee number, the date of transaction, and the amount, and it links into table employee through the employee number here. Now, I said that there was no constraints which were effective between table employee and table transaction. And just to show that, let's just stand back and just have a look at the range of employee numbers which are being used in table employee and table transaction. So we'll just have a quick look at the range. So the table transaction goes from 1 to 1125, and table employee goes from 123 to 2004. So there is a disconnect, and I should also say that the table employee, the numbers are not consecutive all the way to 2004. If you have a look at the detail, then it goes 123 all the way to 1125, and then we added 2 later ones. So if you assume that it goes up to 1125 largely, then when we have a look at the min and the max, we can see that the transactions go up to about 1125 and the employees to about 1125. It's just that there's some numbers missing from the beginning in table employee. They are non-existent employees in the transaction table. Right, so that's just a quick recap about the tables, the table structure, and the joins that we're going to do. So now we can have a look at subqueries themselves.